Welcome back to opinionsofree.com. It's a place where you can leave your opinion on various topics. And unlike so many other social media platforms, you will not be slapped around if anyone disagrees because the responses are limited. All right. So I want you to feel free about leaving your comment on any of our topics on the page or this one that I'm going to talk about today. And my question today is, are politicians using so-called freedom of speech rules to basically beat us down into submission and disallowing us from using our free speech? Now, depending on the country you're in, you may have different views about freedom of speech. If you're in the U.S., probably one of the most free bastions of freedom of speech, one of the few places in this world where you can probably really be free with what you say. And yes, there are pros and cons to that. It's a little bit different than if, let's say, you're in Canada where you have bills like what's it called, C-39 or something, 665, whatever. There does have limits on what you can and can't say. Now, some of these rules are very good because they limit you from saying hateful things about specific identifiable groups. And when I say hateful things, that's pretty ambiguous, isn't it? On the other hand, there's a law in Canada and also in England that if you say something bad here about a group, let's say in England, an identifiable group, I can be charged under the Act, and they can actually charge me in England, which is kind of obscene, isn't it? That you can't say something here about something there. And that's what the social media has done to us, where everything you say can be broadcast internationally very, very quickly, in a fraction of a second. And there is no real way to hide or to isolate any comments anymore. So again, good and bad depends on how you look at it. But I want to talk to you about something here. Apart from free speech, Corky Scrumpets, the Prime Minister of England, I guess it is England, that's not his real name. If he identifies as a he, I'm assuming he does, but you never know. Because, of course, you can say something and someone else can find it hateful and, charge you for it. Corky Scrumpets, when he has been pressed to deal with the immigration problem with the illegal migrants that have been flooding England and Britain, he decided that the best thing to do is to push for digital ID cards that will make it impossible for you to work without this card. Now, when asked about how that would stop illegal immigration, Corky Scrumpets and all of his minions have this incredible talent, the ability to use a great many words to say absolutely nothing and not answer the question. British politicians are some of the best. I mean, the American ones are pretty good, the Canadian ones not bad, but the British politicians are really good at just spouting off for minutes and minutes and not actually addressing a question. Okay? Deflecting everything. So how will forcing law-abiding British people to carry a digital ID that will allow them to work stop illegal immigration? Or migrants, illegal migrants. Are they going to stop jumping out those boats and going across the English Channel from the north of France? I doubt it. Are they going to stop going from the north of Africa into Italy and then through? I doubt it. It's not like they're going to say, oh my, I don't have this card, I can't work in England, I'd better not go. Of course they're going to go. What a ridiculous and stupid thing to push. So it tells us that either they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and I'm talking about Corky Scrumpets or any politician that wants to push for ID cards specifically because it's going to stop illegal immigration, even though it's going to mean that without this card you cannot physically work and earn a living in your country. Any politician that pushes that agenda cannot be speaking logically and truthfully. They are lying. What it's about is control. And these fellows, whether it's Corky Scrumpets or Prime Minister Corny here in the land of Canada, this beautiful land of Canada, or one of the minions up in the Nordic countries, they all seem to be falling over each other, trying to figure out who is going to push for these digital IDs first, because of course it's going to change the world. It's going to make everything better, just like in China, right? Yeah, because everybody wants to live under that kind of communist regime. So they're pushing these things, and when you ask questions, it's deflected, and the answers are usually useless dribble. Constant, pointless dribble. somehow having a digital ID card, which is going to force you, or you're going to be forced to have this card, or you can't go to work, is somehow going to be better for your health services, or to do this or that, or this other government service. Now, had they presented the digital ID card as a way to ensure that government services are going to people who are entitled for them, and medical services are going for people who are entitled to them, that is to say, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, rather than illegals, I can understand that. But they didn't even have the intelligence enough to present it that way. They simply presented it as a way to stop illegal migrants, knowing full well that anybody with an ounce of brains is going to say, well, you're an idiot now. That's just not going to work. And I wonder, whether or not we as a population, and I mean all of us collectively as populations, are so tired of these politicians that we're just not pushing anymore. We're just saying, okay, what are you going to do? They're all corrupt. They're all on some weird agenda. They can't answer any questions truthfully. Elections are a sham. They don't deal with issues. They only prattle on and try to get themselves 4 years at a time or 5 years at a time, depending on where you are, and to get those beautiful index pensions. And the rest of us are paying for it out of pocket. Just like you're paying for all of these legal migrants who are coming here and there and are living on public assistance. That's it. When a politician doesn't want something to be known, what they try to do is they try to promote that service as a service presented by an NGO, because NGOs have different rules of disclosure. You see, if your government's doing something, you should be able to say, hey, what are you doing? How are you spending this money? And they have to open their books. But if it's an NGO, they can say, well, no, we contracted these services. However, we can't be responsible for what they do. We're going to investigate. Oh my. And boy, someone will pay if they're corrupt. And then slowly it dies off. And the same people who are giving these contracts will get other contracts. It's all a game, it seems. And maybe that's just my opinion. So what is your opinion? So on two topics, okay? Are politicians using freedom of speech to quash our freedom of speech, claiming that by making hurtful comments, we're hurting people, therefore they use that ambiguous rule to keep you from saying anything? Because how are you going to fight the government? Are you going to use your life savings to go to court to fight the government if they bring this ambiguous nonsense against you and say that you made hurtful comments towards some identifiable group and they want blood and they're going to put you in jail? I mean, you can see in England, people are being thrown in because they're waving their flag, because they're putting up their flag of their country. A lady is praying silently across the street from an abortion clinic, and she gets charged for praying in her own brain, in her own mind. Wow. How far is too far? And will it ever change? And if it's gone to the point where we're just so tired that nothing will ever change, I don't know. What's your opinion on that? And also, what is your opinion on being forced to have a digital identification card in order to be able to earn a living and to feed your family? How many people are going to say no? They say it's a volunteer program. But this is the wording. It's a volunteer program. You don't have to do it. However, if you don't do it, you can't go to work. So who the hell are you kidding? Of course it's a volunteer program, if they say it's a volunteer program, but it's not volunteer if you're being forced to in order to be able to earn a living. Who's going to say, no, I don't want to feed my family anymore. I don't want to earn a living. And if you don't earn a living and feed your family and you don't have any money because you're not getting paid, how will you pay your taxes? If you can't pay your taxes, what will happen to your property? They're going to take it. On 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. You can't tell me that it's just coincidence. There is a coordinated plan, I think, to basically rob you of your assets, your equity, and that's going to be coming soon, I'm sure, an equity tax. I expect we're going to see it in Canada very shortly, as they have in other countries, or even undeclared capital gains, or unrealized capital gains, which is mind-numbing, how you go to tax somebody on money they haven't earned yet because of the potential that they might earn it. And if the property or whatever goes down and the capital gains are not earned, what are they going to do? Give you a refund? I don't know. Maybe I'm just not understanding it, but it seems to me that doesn't make any sense. So again, sticking back to the two topics, I'm kind of rambling off here. Have politicians, our politicians using freedom of speech rules to beat us down, to keep us from actually speaking our minds, and our digital ID cards forced on us for the ability to work, to allow us to work, are they an infringement on our rights? And will people accept them? Anyways, opinionsarethree.com, no fee, no membership. Sign on or just get in. Give me your name, your rough location. You can just use your first name and last initial, community you're from, because I'd like to know whether or not people, let's say in southern U.S., have the same opinions as people in the middle of the U.S. or the North U.S. or Canada or England or whatever. And leave a comment on this or any other topic, okay? And thanks again, and whatever things affect your life, I hope it's to your benefit and you come out ahead. Take care.